The inauguration of Joe Biden as the 46th U.S. president marks a new chapter from the legacy of Donald Trump. Some have described it as the dawn of a new era after 4 years of Trump's style of governance and communication. Donald Trump, now former president of the United States, has not formally conceded to President Joe Biden and did not attend inauguration ceremony. This makes Trump the first president not to attend his successor's inauguration since 1869.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear.
That I will faithfully execute.
That I will faithfully execute.
The office of President of the United States.
Office of President of the United States.
And will, to the best of my ability.
Will, to the best of my ability.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
Preserve, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
So help you God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
This is America's day. This is democracy's day. A day of history and hope, of renewal and resolve. Through a crucible for the ages, America has been tested anew. And America has risen to the challenge. Today, we celebrate the triumph not of a candidate, but of a cause, the cause of democracy. The people, the will of the people has been heard, and the will of the people has been heeded. We've learned again that democracy is precious, democracy is fragile. And at this hour, my friends, democracy has prevailed. On this hallowed ground where just a few days ago, violence sought to shake the Capitol's very foundation, we come together as one nation, under God, indivisible, to carry out the peaceful transfer of power as we have for more than 2 centuries. As we look ahead in our uniquely American way, restless, bold, optimistic, and set our sights on the nation we know we can be and we must be. I've just taken the sacred oath each of those patriots have taken, the oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union. This is a great nation. We are good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far, but we still have far to go.
So we've got Professor Wole Soyinka, Nobel laureate, listening to just that speech, as well as having watched all of what has happened. Professor, after listening to the summary of all the things that has happened so far, you've stayed glued and watched everything. What's your thought?
Well, let me answer that in 2 ways. First of all, by explaining why I'm in this outfit, an outfit that I have not put on me for the past 18 years since I first earned it as a member of what we call the G0 Select Club, that is pseudo astronauts. I earned it in San Jose, and it's not something which I even bothered to put on, even for just casual wear. But I'm wearing it deliberately tonight when talking to you, because I want to send a message to my folk, my brothers and sisters in the United States, that my fight with them is over. No more battle. We're now waging the same war. I should explain also that I'm an honorary citizen of the state of Georgia, which played such a critical role in this democratic struggle in the United States. Wearing it to send a message to individuals like Stacey Abrams, who led this battle, many of us in Nigeria. It's a message also to Nigerians that should learn from the nature and the meticulousness and the determination of our own people over there who fought this battle. In fact, Nigerians, incidentally, many Nigerians don't know this, their role was acknowledged by one of the two victorious senators in the state of Georgia, who singled out Nigerians and said Nigerians played a remarkable role in his success. So I deliberately put this one on as a statement to say, okay, our fight is over. My green card, the pieces are in this pouch, which I've let all the time, but I'm not going to restore it, but I'm just saying that now I'm willing to be associated, in fact, feel honored to be associated with the democratic forces of the United States for correcting the unbelievable error that they committed 4 years ago. So that, in effect, is your answer. Now, if you want to go into particulars, we can proceed.
You say the war is over. You're now on the same page with the United States of America. And I did point out the fact that before that Trump election, you actually said you were going to destroy your green card. Apparently, you have it there in your pouch. Would like to see it. And I'd like to find out also if what then, now that Biden is the president of the United States, what happens with your green card? Are you going to pick another one up before we go on to other issues, of course?
I hope you can see it. I brought it along, just in case. Up till now, I refused even to show it to many Nigerians who asked us. They didn't ask it in a constructive way. They asked it in a very negative and, as far as I was concerned, a slavish way, because they were scared to be offending a president of the United States. And as far as I'm concerned, he's just another citizen of the world. And I have a right to express myself any way I want to. That's what I fought for all my life. So it's all over. It's cut to pieces. I have no intention of renewing it, by the way, but at least I am, shall we say, resuming normal diplomatic relations with our people in the United States. There's something we always forget is this, that the Black African continent is a huge component of what we call the United States. And we participated in so many aspects of their life over there. We contributed enormously to the creation of what is called the United States of America. And so it was a wrench for me at that time to be able to warn our people that, look, you're sitting here and this country of yours and ours is about to embark on a very perilous and disastrous journey. And the complacency was really very painful. And I said, if you people are so careless as to let this racist, this monster, this xenophobic aberrant, this disrespecter of the female gender, this serial bankrupt, this man who called your own society a shithole country, if you're so careless as to let him become the next president, I am moving out. So you can imagine what I felt over the last few weeks, the siege on the Capitol. In a way, it was rather heartwarming for the Americans themselves to feel that what we have been fighting for over here is not really a given in their society. And they've had to confront it in a very brutal, unbelievable way. And they came out of it with flying colors. It's not over, not by any means. I don't say that for a single moment. But it's been a lesson for us on this continent, and we should be grateful that this did happen. I'm sorry, of course, about the loss of lives. I'm sorry about I regret very much the disruption of normal life. But now it's like we're now placed on the same playing level, that we're all fighting for the same virtue in human conduct, the same system that we all say we believe in. No, you mustn't take it for granted. Not anymore, you cannot. And for us here in Nigeria, it's been, I hope that it's been a heartwarming, instructive occasion. So yes, indeed, I consider myself back in that community from which I dissociated myself 4 years ago, and I'm very glad to be back. But I'm not renewing the green card. It's not necessary. I go in and out as a visiting alien, and that's good enough for me.
Prof, thank you very much for that explanation. And I'm sure a lot of Nigerians, and indeed Africans and people around the world who know you as Nobel laureate, they would have listened to that and they will understand better the reason behind your decision and all the things you said. Very valuable. But just before we go on, let's kind of like take a step back. And well, today we watched as the former United States President Donald Trump left Washington for his Florida resort, leaving behind what many have termed a divided America in the eye of the storm of a pandemic. So we got our correspondent, Laurie Laird, to give us an assessment of the rise, fall, and legacy of Donald Trump. Let's play you that report so that we can use that as the basis for our next conversation, Prof.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
The first, and one of the very few adherences to tradition in a most unusual presidency. Just moments after taking the oath of office, Donald Trump spurned the traditional presidential pledges of hope and unity, appealing to the fear and grievances of an already divided nation.
Mothers and children trapped in poverty in our inner cities, rusted out factories scattered like tombstones across the landscape of our nation. This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
Far from bringing a halt to the figurative carnage of his inaugural address, Trump's presidency ended with carnage of the literal sort, when his supporters stormed the Capitol complex in an attempt to prevent recognition of rival Joe Biden's victory in the November presidential election. It was an outcome that Trump and millions of his fervent supporters believed to be fraudulent.
Officials egregiously violated state laws in order to solicit, facilitate, and promote cheating and theft on a scale never seen before.
Many hold Trump responsible for the violence after he urged his supporters to contest the results.
We're going to walk down Pennsylvania Avenue. I love Pennsylvania Avenue. And we're going to the Capitol.
And those events led to Donald Trump's impeachment on charges of incitement.
On this vote, the ayes are 232, the nays are 197. The resolution is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
For a president bearing an obsession with outdoing his predecessors, it was a dubious achievement. Donald Trump is the first president to be impeached, not once, but twice. That's after the House of Representatives indicted him for attempting to pressure the Ukrainian president to find incriminating information on Joe Biden and his family. Those charges denied by the president and his supporters, both inside and outside the U.S. Capitol.
Look, it's a hoax. The whole impeachment thing is a hoax. We look forward to getting onto the Senate. We're not entitled to lawyers. We're not entitled to witnesses. We're not entitled to anything in the House. It's a total sham.
As Trump polarized American politics, he also stirred the embers of simmering racial tensions in the U.S. Early in his term, he refused to condemn a white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, an event that left one counter-protester dead.
What I'm saying is this: you had a group on one side and you had a group on the other, and they came at each other with clubs, and it was vicious, and it was horrible, and it was a horrible thing to watch. But there is another side. There was a group on this side, you can call them the left, or you've just called them the left, that came violently attacking the other group. So you can say what you want, but that's the way it is.
And sensitivity toward race relations was conspicuous by its absence over the summer, when the president deployed the National Guard to disperse crowds in the Capitol so that he could visit a historic church. Yet political and social division only endeared the president to his base. And at the start of last year, Trump looked on course to earn a much-wanted second term.
Speaking of important, you're very important, because with you and all of the people in this room, we are going to do some great things over the next 8 years. Okay? 8 years. Right?
But that was before tore through the country.
All right, we still have Professor Wole Soyinka with us, referred to fondly by so many, including myself, as Kongi. Well, let's hear your thoughts too on some of the things you heard from Trump there. And let me quickly bring this in. Trump split the United States and indeed divided the world, reshaping international norms and pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord, for example, and so many other things. As with Biden in now, what would you say are the low-hanging fruits that he needs to address to at least, bring the world back together again?
Yeah, I would like to take up that issue of legacy. What legacy, shall we say, Trump is leaving behind? And I began by saying a negative, very negative legacy. It's a useful one, where we learn also from negativities. People must go back to what Trump said from the very beginning he was going to do, and which he proceeded to pursue. He said, for instance, I shall be a racist, and he proved he was a racist. He said, I shall build a wall of separation. He proceeded to build a wall of separation, both internally, as I said at the time, in people's minds, and physically across the landscape of America. He had one sole agenda, and that was dismantle Obama. He made no bones about it. He and other cohorts of his, like Newt Gingrich, whatever his name is, many people don't remember now, they all said boldly, yes, we are here to make Obama fail. They wanted to make the first black African president of the United States fail in his mission. And that really, if you want to point to any Trump, apart from himself, what he believed in, it was that mission of making a black man fail. And he pursued it, dismantled the positive achievements which he had, in particular Obamacare, which was beamed for the benefits of the poorer, the lower classes of society, and he put nothing else in its place. He ended up killing hundreds of thousands of Americans because, on his own admission, he did not let the nation know what had been discovered about COVID-19. And he said it in his own words on an interview, admitted he had the information. He refused to share this with scientists. I mean, so what legacy exactly are we talking about beyond negativities? The lesson that don't always mistrust politicians when they make promises. Sometimes they actually mean to fulfill those promises. I know the opposite is usually the case. And for us especially, I might call the minorities who, however, consider Africa overseas as part and parcel of our own society, we have a responsibility to always respond the way a number of Nigerians, by the way, respond to American politics. That's not the first time. I can tell you other instances, but I know other people want to speak. And Nigerians who are everywhere. And wherever they are, they try to make a mark, positive most of the time, I hope, but very often also, unfortunately, negative. But those positive ones, they get acknowledged. And we know they're always a force to be reckoned with wherever they are. Now, I watched this today. I dedicated today to watching the entire proceeding. And for me, the greatest attraction was not even Biden and Harris. No, I think I've already analyzed them. I think I already know what they are, what they might do, what they hope to do, what they're determined to do. No, I wanted to see this man who said, we're going to walk up, we're going to march up Pennsylvania Avenue. I wanted to watch him walk away from the White House. And I watched him with his bluff. There's nothing, an empty shell. There's nothing, just a balloon attempting up to the very last moment to puff himself up full of air. But there's nothing there. Emptiness, negativities. And for us on this continent, in particular, it's something which we should always treasure, again, as a negative portent. We look at what's happening in Uganda today. Yes, we have a Trump in Uganda, in Museveni. He's not the only one. We have them all over the continent. There are those who will behave exactly like the Kwanon who will summon their myrmidons. Sometimes, of course, they're in a position to use the state force, like Museveni is doing in Uganda. What's the difference between Museveni and Trump? Is that strongest in the United States, and those structures came to the rescue. And also, there's a human factor. This exercise, this episode, this saga should have taught us a number of things that an individual, just one individual, can make unbelievable differences. On the negative side, like Donald Trump. On the positive side, like Stacey Abrams, that woman who in the tradition of Sojourner Ruth, Coretta King, Rosalind Parks, etc., virtually single-handed mobilized my state, Georgia. I'm very proud to acknowledge Georgia, honorary citizen. Mobilized the populace there, ensured that they captured that state, not only with democratic forces for the positive prospect of change, but even snagged 2 senatorial seats. And our young generation who give up so easily, who say, oh, the machinery here is too strong, their war chest is unassailable, and so on. No. Take a look at what happened in Georgia. And if that's not a lesson for you, well, you might as well just give up being, quote unquote, a sovereign state. Well,
Many were stunned as they witnessed the riot on Capitol Hill. And January, that was on the 6th of January, many shuddered in disbelief, saying that this was not the true America, whereas some said the true America was finally coming out of the shadows.
Let me just put it this way. All societies are growing. I think no society should believe it has arrived at the democratic Valhalla. How long ago, after all, was it before the Soviet Union, this monolithic empire, broke up? And now, after a seeming period, Khrushchev, Gorbachev, you now have Mr. Poison Putin, who's getting rid of his enemies through the tradition of the poison tip umbrella. If it's not the poison tipped umbrella, it's some other exotic poison inserted in a tea, and the opposition finally recovers after many months. He arrives, and what happens? He's clamped straight into prison. So much for the democratic progress of countries like America are learning the same lesson, that there's always constantly in any society movements, tendencies which drag the nation back to a primordial state. It has to do with the issue of power and freedom. There are within societies those two parties, the party of power and the party of freedom, under whatever rubric, whether it's theocratic or secular. Those tendencies, those forces exist constantly within society, and there's no other way but eternal vigilance and eternal struggle. I use an example, you must forgive me if I constantly refer to the diaspora, but for me, the diaspora has always been part and parcel of my socio-political existence from when I first learned about the slave trade, so no more excuses. Take what happened in the state of Georgia, and I want to keep using this as an example. And it's important, we do. The first time that the will of the majority has been ascertained. When I was there, when I took refuge in Georgia, I was teaching there, I was in exile. The dictator known as one of the most incontinent and brutal dictator we've ever known, his name was Sani Abacha. He was establishing killing stations all over the world. And they went to Georgia, and they decided to set up a consulate there. I was in exile there, teaching at Emory University. And we fought. We lobbied, we explained, we harangued the worthy fathers. Please don't let this brute, this murderer, thieving murderer, establish a foothold in Georgia. We lost that battle. A consulate was established. Well, all it meant was that those of us around that area, we just learned to be far more careful than we were before. In fact, I remember that the president of my university gave me special protection during the time I was there.
Sorry to interject,
Now,
Professor Wole Soyinka. Sorry to interject. If you don't mind, let's take a quick look at what's happening in the United States of America now. The president has just arrived at the White House, and we are expecting to hear some of what's going on there. There are a few people who are there with him as family members, and it's obvious that he's just walking down the road, heading straight to the entrance of the White House, waving at journalists, at security men who are there, some of the members of a Marine who are protecting and making sure that the palpable fear about insecurity and potential terrorist attack, internal terrorism, if I may say, that was being afraid of, looks like it's not happened. And I'm sure Americans will be delighted about this, that on a day like this, it has all gone superbly well. It couldn't have been better, because there was nothing to worry about from all of what we've seen today.
And that really just feels like a long walk to freedom. A freedom, a walk with a sigh of relief that this day has finally come, when the United States has a new president, turning a new page for the United States that will live up to its name, United States of America.
Let's hear some of what they're doing now, what's happening now. Let us hear.
Very much with us is Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, who's been unpacking the issues for us tonight and giving us his thoughts on these developments. Prof, good to know that you're still with us. You did allude to the fact earlier that the United States now would no longer take things for granted as far as democracy is concerned, that they now understand what we in Africa, especially Nigeria, of course, have been battling with, trying to fight for democracy. I mean, take, for example, that our own Goodluck Jonathan, our former president, actually, in the wake of Trump's response, his decision not to congratulate or even to concede the victory to Biden, that GEJ, as we refer to him, the Goodluck Jonathan, actually addressed Mr. Trump that, hey, no politician's ambition is worth the blood of anyone. How does that come to you? I mean, you just said, look, it's a level playing field now, whether it's the United States, Africa, or indeed Nigeria. How does it come to you?
Well, as a matter of fact, I was already proposing that we send Goodluck Jonathan to go and talk to Trump and help him to come to terms with realities. I was communicating some letters with some Americans. In fact, in addition, during that period, I warned this colleague of mine who's in Harvard. I said, if you are close to these people who Biden and his vice, tell him that we have a saying in Yoruba, in Nigeria, that when the colonials were leaving, an expression which came from that, which said, Oyinbo Shusaga, which means the white man, when he was leaving, made sure, when he was compelled to leave, made sure that he defecated on the chair. And there he should watch out for Trump. In fact, I thought that very likely Trump might do something drastic like nuking Iran or something along those lines, because he's sui generis. He's one of a kind. He's just evil. What Jonathan did in Nigeria, for instance, somebody like Trump would despise it. He would say, look at that wimp. Look at him conceding. You have to. One individual got up during the tallying, the narration of all the reports being put together, international press. One individual got up, which was supposed to be a signal, by the way, for some other activities. More of that in another place. I leave it to the historians. And he said, the INEC chairman just waited, had him removed, and continued counting. In the meantime, Jonathan had got up, picked up the phone, and dialed his opponent and said, I concede. You see, this is where we sometimes shortchange ourselves. We should have offered to send Jonathan. And unfortunately, Jonathan's conduct is the exception. See, that is the problem. Does Museveni, has he ever heard of Jonathan? No. He makes sure he uses the entire machinery of state to absolutely hammer his opponent. And even after elections are over, keeps him under house arrest, starves him, deprives him of normal competence. And so what we're saying is that, thank goodness, occasionally, monsters, exceptional monsters like Trump, surface in complacent societies. Yes, a mistake was made. People they say, oh, he's a clown. Nobody's there going to vote for him. I said, listen, he's twanging a racist chord, which is very strong in American psyche. His followership is increasing all the time. Many people resented the fact that there was a black man before him, and they've sworn never again, or anything like that. And this, consider, is their Messiah. And so you can tell any outrageous fantasies, anything at all, they'll follow him blindly. He nearly made it. And this is where we come to the word decency. It sounds a prosaic word. But thank goodness American society has some decent people. Had, for instance, the vice president who refused to act against the Constitution. had him in the head of the party, McDonald, who, despite having supported Trump all this time, found in his conscience that he could not go along. But suppose these individuals had decided to go along. Just think where not just the United States, but the world would be today. And we should learn to apply that kind of situation, the lessons from that, to our own situation. So yes, we have something occasionally to do some breast beating about, but unfortunately, it's the exception, not the rule.
And very quickly, before we let you go, Kamala Harris, of course, many firsts in her kitty. Now she's the first African-American woman, first woman of color, first woman vice president of the United States. What signal does that send? Very quickly, before we let you go, sir.
Oh, simply cheered by it, by the fact that there's some kind of color continuity after the break by this self-styled Aryan, who thinks that anyone outside his race is from a shithole race. So it's a good thing that America has a flag constantly there, a flag reminding them of their racist history and their commitment to self-liberation in humanistic terms.
Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka, it's been a delight having you on Newsnight tonight.